afternoon. Welcome to Kingdom Living Secret. I'm your host, Enoch Dennis, and let's get it started. So today we're going to be talking about what is prayer and what is prayer and fasting, rather, and why should you pray and fast? Okay, that's what we're going to be talking about today. Get ready. So we're going to address this. What is prayer and what is prayer and fasting? And why should you pray and fast? Let me know where you're joining us from. If you're catching us wherever you are joining us from, say hi, say hello. Let us know in the chat where you're joining us from. Let us know. Let us know. And let us know in the chat if you're joining me on Zoom. Let me know as well. So the question is, what is prayer and fasting, and why should you pray and fast? As you probably already know, we do have our prayer and fasting coming, corporate prayer and fasting coming this the end of this quarter, the last weekend of March is gonna be Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, 28th, 29th, and 30th. Okay, so I apologize. Um, so we will be spending those 3 days in prayer and fasting. So why should you pray and fast, and what is it? Let me start by giving you my personal experience. Um, and by the way, you probably realize probably by now though know that I wrote a whole book on prayer and fasting. I am about um to get the edited version 2 ready, because there are some parts of it that there are certain things that I want to add into it. So you'll be released sometimes next quarter. You'll be released. Okay. So um, why do you pray? What is prayer and fasting? I remember I was 16 years old. I was 16 years old, and at that time, I used to go to a very fancy school, private Catholic school, back in Haiti, though. And it was boys only school, and like we were one of the best school in the entire country, and it was kind of like a very expensive school. If you ever been to private school, you already know it's expensive. Private Catholic school, very expensive, even by Haiti standard, it was expensive. So the people who would go to that school, they were like kids. Their parents had money, right? Their parents had money, and it was literally, it was kind of like an assumption that, hey, if you go to that school, that means your parents got it, right? Your parents got it if you go to that school. Listen, some of us, our parents did not. And I didn't realize that until when I was 16. When I was 16, um, and I'm looking at, hey, I have only 2 more years to graduate from high school. Somehow, like, I don't know why. I'm 16, I have 2 more years left, and I'm already thinking about it, right? And I started thinking about, what's gonna happen in those two years. Um, and I'm thinking, my friends, and they have their parents, they are like the lawyers' kids, the doctors' kids, their parents have big businesses and all that. They travel for vacation, they go overseas for vacation, Europe, United States, you name it, they all over the place for vacation. And they had new clothes all the time because we didn't have uniforms for the week. We had, regular clothes that we wear during the week. And I was like, they have new clothes all the time. And I'm looking at myself. I've had those clothes for like 4 years now. And then it hit me that, hey, those kids, they live in like 4, 5, 6 bedroom houses, and they have maids, they have, all of that. Some of them even have cars or they drive their parents' cars to school sometimes. Yeah, 16-year-old, 17-year-old driving, it's, crazy. And I'm like, I'm thinking, wait a minute. Um, it's different on my end. I live in literally one room. Like everybody lives in one room, four of us in one room. I don't even let my friends from school know where I live. None of them. Well, not none of them. Maybe like two of them because they live close to my house. That's how they knew where I live. But the rest of them, they didn't know where I live. I never let them get, even know where I live. You know, so needless to say, they didn't even know inside of where I was living. So I started panicking at that time, and I heard a conversation one day between my mom and and my dad. Well, my mom referring to my cousin who raised me, right? And my dad. And somehow I didn't know how I've heard something about, working in a restaurant. And I realized, wait a minute, my dad working in a restaurant? Like, and it hit me in our country when you hear people work in restaurants, it's like they are like at the very bottom, and those people they kind of like a lot of time, and I'm not even talking about fancy restaurants because at that time I've never gone to a fancy restaurant. Um, and to know what's going on really. So I'm thinking, wait a minute. I'm looking at the image that I know, which is people who help at, what we call restaurants, which is kind of like street foods. People who help in those places because they don't have anything. They don't have any money. They don't have like they literally help out so that they can eat. Right? They come, they clean up for whoever is the chef, whoever is cooking the food. They clean up for them, they wash the dishes so that they can get a meal for the day. And maybe they can get, they can take something to their back home for their kids. And that's basically what it was. So when I heard that, that's the image that I had in my head that what my dad was doing. And that freaked me out. I was like, wait a minute. No, 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 no. I I definitely am not going to college. Definitely, because those universities are expensive. So if my dad wouldn't is not going to be able to afford it, and my mom cannot help at all. So I am, things are bad for me. So and again, there's one thing that I've always known how to do, which is prayer, right? I've always known to take things to God in prayer. And although I was raised in a Catholic home, we didn't have like prayer time where everybody come together and sit down and let's read our Bible, let's pray together. I never had that growing up. Never, ever, ever have that, not even once. But here's what I had. My auntie, um, when I was a lot younger before we got separated, um, she always said, "You are not an animal. You are not like a dog or a goat." She used to say that like literally. She's like, "You're not an animal. You cannot go to bed without praying, and you cannot get out of your bed in the morning without praying. Only animals don't pray before they go to bed and when they get off bed." So that stuck with me even till today. I'll fall asleep without prayer at night, and I'll wake up sometime in the middle of the night and so that I can pray because I'm not an animal, so hey, I'm gonna wake up from my sleep and to pray because I'm a human being, right? So uh so that's how basically that one sentence, how quoted it is, gave me the prayer life that I have today. Literally. That's how I have my prayer life. Not because I've, seen people getting up in the morning, getting together at night, getting together. No, that was one sentence. You're not an animal. You're not a dog. You're not a goat. You cannot go to sleep without prayer. You don't wake up. You don't leave your bed without prayer. That was it. So, I've learned how to go to God in prayer, and that's what I did. When I was panicking, I went and prayed. And when I went and prayed, God talked to me, say, come to me in prayer and fasting for 3 days. I'm a 16-year-old boy. I've never done that before. The closest that I've gotten to any knowledge about prayer and fasting is because at that point I've read the entire New Testament about twice. At that point, I did it when I was 9 years old. That story for another time. When I was 9 years old, I did it, and then I read it, the whole New Testament, um, uh, for doing like a 2 week period of time. Basically, let me go into that story. So basically, I got my first communion when I was 9 years old. I remember it like today. It was May 21st, 1995. Had my first communion, and they gave us a New Testament Bible, very small, like pocket size Bible. And one of the things that we were told is that, hey, this Bible has answers to like anything that you want to learn about life, you know how to live your life. You just read it, you'll get answers to it for it, right? I was like, awesome. So um, during communion, they gave us a rosary. So now they give us a rosary. I didn't know how to use the rosary, right? Right? I know I've seen, my parents using it, and I wanted to use it. I wanted to know how to do it. So when they gave us the rosary, I still didn't learn how to use it. So here I am. I'm eager to learn how to do it. I'm eager to start using my rosary. So I went into the Bible that they gave us and say this is where we get answers for all the things in life. I said, okay, then it must have the answer on how to use it. So I remember that day or during my communion, everybody was, we had a party when we got home. Like everything was going on, but in my mind, I can't wait for everybody to leave because I need to go read this book to learn about how to use a rosary, right? That 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 was in my mind, and it's like that's in my mind. I need you all to leave. Like I'm waiting for people to leave. And that same night, that same evening, I started reading the New Testament Bible. And from that point on, every day for 2 weeks, after I've done, the regular school things and come home after school, I was like eager to get my homework done. I was like, okay, let me study, get my homework done, do everything, eat. And as soon as I was done, I find me a corner. I sat there and read as much as I could from the New Testament pocket Bible. In 2 weeks span, I read everything. Guess what I didn't find? I didn't find anything about the rosary. So I broke it. I broke it. I broke the rosary. I threw it in the trash. And somebody found it and told my dad's sister. Um, uh, Rest in peace. So she she was mad about it, to say the least. She was mad. She was mad. Um, she started talking and and yelling at me and telling me that I broke something that is very holy. This is holy. This is sacred. I broke it. This is like um, uh, I'm getting myself cursed for doing that. And she was, you know, I don't know if she was saying those things to get me to be afraid, or that's what she actually believed. Either way, um, I I was like, well, I don't see the thing. That's what I was looking for. I don't see how to use it. So if you tell me, and I've been told that this New Testament, this Bible has answers to the things that I need. So I don't see this in there. So basically, if it doesn't have it in there, then it's either I don't need this Bible, or I don't need that, or I don't need this rosary. So I decided this is what I don't need, right? So I broke it up, threw it in the trash. And she was mad. But I was always the one that was like kind of like I'll speak my mind, and I got in trouble a lot of time for doing that. But um that happened. So fast forward 5 years later, actually no, not 7 years later, I was 16 years old, 7 years later. So that was the first time that I read the entire New Testament. I did it a second time when I was about 13, 14 years old. Actually 14 years old after my um either before or after my confirmation. I did. So having read it twice, so I've encountered the idea of prayer and fasting a few times. So those two times that I've read it, I've read Jesus went in prayer and fast, the disciples asked about it, Jesus thought about it, and then the disciples did it. So that's all I had as any understanding of prayer and fasting. I used to go to a Baptist church. They used to have what they call fasting every Saturday morning for like I think it was probably 7 to 12, something like that in the morning. So I would sometimes I'll go, and basically you'll go, we just like sing and pray and and then yeah, somebody preached. That's what it was about. So I had no really good concept that I've seen of prayer and fasting in real life. So here I am, 16 years old, praying, asking God about, asking God about this thing. Like I was afraid, like, you know, Lord, I don't know what is it for me, because all those other kids, this is what I see. I see their parents, I see them doing all these things. So they are set for university, and I don't know what am I gonna do with my life. And and God said, come to me in prayer and fasting for 3 days. So all I know is, okay, for 3 days prayer, but um, the instructions were clear. Like God gave me the instructions. They were clear. You know, don't eat any food. Um, just, just, and then come. Okay. So no food for those days, and stay away from all distractions and all of that, and come. So um, I didn't know how to explain to anybody what I was doing. I didn't know how to explain to my mom what I was doing. And I didn't know what to tell my friends because, hey, we play almost every single day. We play, right? We are out there playing. And it was doing like a vacation time. We had a sometimes off. And I stayed in my bed. Basically, in my mind, I'm thinking that I'm not feeling well. right? So I'm thinking that hey, I'm not feeling well. I just need to stay in bed for, just stay here for a little while. When I say a bed, I didn't have like a room where you have a door, I have my door, I can lock my door and all that. No, it was literally there was a plywood separating my bed from my mom's bed, and there was a curtain on the front side. So basically, there was a curtain. If you pull the curtain, you can see me. So there was nothing much more than that. So I was there, in that room, not in that room, on that bed, because it was actually one room house. Okay. So making it look like that I'm not feeling well, but I just need to rest. I don't really need food. I just need to rest and I'll be okay. And um and it's literally following God's direction, following the following his direction, panicking, and on the first day, on the first day, it's kind of like literally God told me, hey, tell me why I ask you to come to this spirit fasting, right? Bring the case to me, bring your request to me. And that's exactly what I did. And again, I had no clue. I didn't understand what I was doing. I didn't understand what I was doing. So I just said, I just said, hey, Lord, um, I'm worried. I'm worried about my future. My friends, I can see that they have everything that they need um, to go to to university, and I don't even have a place a good place to live. Like, I don't know. I'm worried. And I didn't know much to say but that. I had literally said what was in my mind, what I was worrying about. That's exactly what I said that morning when I started. And I didn't have anything else to say. I just stayed there and lay there, you know? And I still had that New Testament Bible. I still had it. And I would, you know, go through it and read every now and then, read something from it, not really in a orderly manner, but I was just flipping pages and reading. And as I was doing that, and sometimes I just went and repeat the exact same thing because I didn't know what to say. I did not know what to say whatsoever. I was just repeating the exact same thing, like Lord, like I'm waiting for an answer, and I'm like, Lord, I already said it. I already said, God, this is why I'm here, and I didn't know what else to say. So I was there. I did have some water because again, I was following the direction that God gave me. Had some water. I was drinking my water. So um, that was the first day went by. I stayed in there, and my friends came by. My mom just said, "Yeah, he's kind of like he needs some rest and not playing right now." So so that kind of I had a little peace. And the second day, I woke up in the morning and I was like, God, um, I don't know what's going on, but I still don't know anything. I don't know what's gonna change because um um I don't know. I'm still panicking. I'm still worrying about this thing. On the afternoon, kind of like closer to the evening of the second day, on the evening of the second day, as I was there praying, and I fell asleep. I fell asleep, and I had a dream at that time. I fell asleep and I had a dream. And um, in the dream, I saw myself. There was some kind of platform, um, and I was on the platform. I had a microphone in my hand. I was speaking in the mic, and the speakers, people, there were like a bunch of people listening. They were in front of me listening. And as I was speaking, people were listening, and something happened that bothered me, right? I'm speaking, something happened that bothered me because I realized people were coming and leaving, and it bothers me. I'm like, why aren't they just staying in place and listen till I'm done? But people were coming and they stayed for a little bit and they left. They came, stay for a little bit and left. Came, stay for a little bit and left. And I'm talking and I'm that bothered me. And there was an angel with me, and the angel said, "Come, let me show you what's happening." And it's almost like I don't know how to say it, but the best that I can say is to me, I felt like I was in two places at the same time. It's almost like, yeah, there was me standing there and talking in the dream, and then there was somehow I was taken up and I had a view on the other side. So basically, this is where the stage was and everybody was there. But I was taken up and have a view of something happening on that side, right? So on that side, and I was shown how the people that came and they got something they left, when they left and their lives have changed and they were doing better and bigger things than before. So whatever it is that they got, that allowed them to transform their lives and empower them to live a whole different life that was better than before they came. And then after I saw that, I came back and then I woke up from my sleep. Now, I woke up and I had no understanding of what I just saw, right? And I woke up because I was sleeping. I woke up and I just pray. I was like, thank God, thank you, Lord, for waking me up. And I had a dream, but I don't understand it. Help me understand it. But somehow, after I've prayed, I got the understanding that this is my future. That was it. That was it. And it's like a peace came over me. You know, like where it says peace that surpasses all understanding. I did not understand a clue between what exactly that thing was and what happened between where I am now and that thing that I just saw. I had no understanding of that. The only understanding that I had is that's the future. And I had that peace. When I tell you I was at peace, I was at peace. I was no longer panicking about these things. I was no longer thinking about the future, about my friends, the university, how I it's like I was at peace from that moment on. And yeah, I was at peace from that moment on. And and that's how I can't even finish telling the whole story because it'll be there's probably like another two or three other episodes that happened, right? But right after that, things start happening. Things started happening. and basically getting me into position for that thing. I started like I would go to places. Anyways, let me go into that story because if I don't tell the story that I'm telling will not end. I'll leave you on the loop. But uh, uh, a couple weeks after that, my best friend invited me to a meeting that he was invited to. And that meeting, it's a club. It's like a social, intellectual club of young people, some from, 16 and from high school and early and in university. And where they meet, discuss things about, like about social problems and all these things. It's like developing your intellect and networking and all these things. So I went there. I liked it. I was like, oh, awesome. That's awesome. I like it. And I started going. We started going weekly. Maybe like 2 months after that, it was time for them to have a new board. So they had an election to elect a new board. And everybody in the club, like I was 16. My best friend is 2 years older, right? And there were kids were already in university in that group, in that organization. And everybody unanimously said, yeah, Enoch should be president. Well, I was like, why? Somebody else can, not me. But they were like, no, 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 you have to be president. And because of the way if it's an election, somebody else has to kind of like oppose. So somebody put their name, and there it was. Everybody voted me to be president. I didn't even want it to be, or say that I wanted to be. So I became the president of that club, being in charge of it, and listen, meeting all kind of people, school principals, and the kids' parents, having meetings and do all these things. And all of a sudden, my signature meant something because I was signing letters, sending to other schools, sending to parents, organizing, different activities, and it was training, right? And then that happened. And that happened a second time at another organization at a law school. That happened again. And about let me see, about a year after that, I believe, I had to leave, and then I migrated to the United States. And once I get to the United States, and then all of a sudden things started happening like very, very fast, being in charge, getting baptized. And then after that, it's like the same thing happening. People were like, oh yeah, you have to do this, you have to do that, you have to do this. And then being in charge of different things, different departments, and doing things. And all of those they were training, right? They were training. God showed me the future, but He didn't show me all those steps that I was going through as preparation, right? As preparation, being in charge of an entire congregation and leading people, and started literally preaching, going to different churches and preach and 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 all these things and teaching. And then I didn't realize. I still believe that this dream is still unfolding. It's still unfolding because I don't know. To me, since this is the future, I haven't seen anything beyond that. So it is still unfolding, right? And yeah, and it looks like it's been, hey, in front of a group of young people, in front of parents and notary people, school principals and all of that, and then being in front of a church, leading and teaching in front of different churches, leading and teaching, and then having our own consulting business where we have conferences, being in front of people, teaching them and helping them change their lives, literally changing people's lives in our conferences, going to speak at other people's conferences, sitting there, standing there, teaching, changing people's lives. And and it keeps happening and happening over and over again. Guess what? Would not have guessed that in a million years when I was 16 years old. And I know there's still more to come. This is definitely not the end of it. It's nowhere near what I've seen in the dream, right? Because I know there's a whole lot more to come. But I'm saying this to show you that prayer and fasting is a very, very powerful key that we have, right? It's a very powerful, one of the keys in the kingdom of God, prayer and fasting. Very, very powerful. And um and it is definitely something that every disciples of Christ should be doing. Why? Because when the disciples of John came to Christ and they asked him, and they say, wait, why are we praying and fasting and your disciples are not? And then he said to them, well, why should it be pray and fast when I'm with them? You know, when I go, they will pray and fast, right? And Jesus himself had several occasions that he was praying and fasting, right? So, and that is in Matthew 9, verse 14, 14 to 17, right? 14 to 17, right? And Jesus answered them and said, can the friends of the bridegroom mourn as long as the bridegroom is with them? But the days will come when the bridegroom will be taken away from them, and then they will fast, right? And then they will fast. And actually, they did pray and fast after that. If you read into the book of Acts, if you read into, you will see at several occasions that the disciples they spent about 3 days of prayer and fasting, and sometimes they say they spent several days. We don't know what those several days were, right? Maybe it was more than 3 days, but they spent a lot of time praying and fasting. So this is why prayer and fasting is so important. In prayer and fasting, I say it over and over again, you are not praying and fasting to to spending the entire time telling God things God doesn't know. You are not praying and fasting to impress God. This does not impress God. You're not praying and fasting to change God's mind. You are praying and fasting for you to get knowledge from God about something. You again in my book, I went through the entire Bible with every single example of prayer and fasting. And all the patterns, they are the exact same thing. Prayer and fasting is to get something from God, is to get an answer from God. Because we live in a life where it's so noisy, there's so many things going on in our lives on a daily basis. We really don't have much time. We really don't hear from God that much. Even the people who hear from God, it's not, it happens every now and then. It's not like, because there are so many things going on, so many noise, work, kids, and this and that, and all those things that we have to do, and it's not, it makes it a lot harder to actually hear from God on a daily basis, right? Especially if you don't have like time where you are somewhere at peace to pray, where you actually have time to listen. Prayer is one thing, because prayer, we just talk, 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 talk. Prayer and fasting, we kind of like speak once or twice, or we speak just a few times. Our prayers are like just a few times. How much more time can you pray in a 72-hour period? Not much. But we are there to listen. We are there to listen. When we pray and fast, we are actually listening. That we go to God, we bring our petition so that we can listen to his answer. We're listening to his will about that thing, right? Daniel wanted to know God's will for the people. Daniel wanted to know God's interpretation of that. What is the will of God based on this prophecy that he read from Jeremiah, right? Nehemiah wanted to get God's will before he goes talk before he went to talk to the king. Moses went on 40-day prayer and fasting to get God's will for the people. And every example that you've read, you're going to see that after that, they come out with an answer. Sometime in one of the cases of Daniel, the answer came afterwards. It's okay. But you are going to pray and fast to come out with an answer, not just to go and then, spending a whole bunch of time singing and praying and doing this. You're not giving God time to speak to you. You need to give God time to speak so that you can listen. You need to take time to listen so you can hear what God is saying. So prayer and fasting is mostly about us hearing from God than us, you know, um, um, letting God know what's going on. So that's prayer and fasting. And yeah, so this is why we should do it. Why should you pray and fast? I believe you want to hear from God, right? Therefore, you should pray and fast. So, um, yeah. And again, that's why I'm inviting you to pray and fast with us this um of the next week for those 3 days. Pray and fast with us because um and we're gonna be doing it for something very important. And I told you my story, basically asking God about my purpose, right? Basically asking God about that, my future. And we're gonna be praying, fasting about that purpose, assignment, and anointing, right? What is your purpose? Why are you here on this earth, right? If you can go to God and hear it from God, God created you and he already had for you what to do before he created you. Ephesians 2, verse 10, right? Before he created you. So if you already know it, can he tell you about it? Would you believe him to tell you about the work that he already ordained for you to do before he created you? Would you trust him to tell you about it? If you trust him to tell you about it, this prayer and fast is for you. We're gonna be going to God to hear from him about our purpose, right? And of course, in those purpose, there are assignments in those purpose, so he can give us guidance on this assignment and for us to receive anointing to achieve, to complete those assignments within our purpose. All right. So um, that's what this prayer and fast is going to be about. So join us. A few things. Let us know in the chat. You're joining us for this prayer and fast. Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, 20th, 29th, and 30th. Let me make sure that I get the dates correctly. March. Yeah. Friday the 20th, Saturday 29th, and Sunday the 30th. Next weekend. Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, 20th, 29th, 30th. And it's all day. We start that Friday morning, and we end on in the evening of Sunday. And please, please, please put prayer and fast in the chat. Drop prayer and fast in the chat so my team can get you the information that you need to join us so we can give you the reminders that you need. A couple of things. This is not gonna be on social media. The prayer and fast is not gonna be on Facebook. It's not gonna be on YouTube. It's not gonna be anywhere else but on Zoom. So the people who are joining us, we all gonna meet together on Zoom and Zoom only. We're not gonna be on social media for those days. So If you're joining us, that's what I encourage you to do. Just drop prayer and fast in the chat so you can join us. And then yeah, we'll give you directions on what are the different times that we'll meet, how do you prepare for the fast, and what to expect during the fast, and how do you break the fast? It's very, very important aspect of prayer and fasting is properly breaking the fast so you don't damage yourself. Um, what else? Yeah, that's kind of it. That's basically it. That yeah, that's basically it. And let's go to God with that this assurance that He already ordained for us the work that we should be doing before He created us. So who's better to tell us what is the work that was ordained for us? Oh, than to go to the one who actually said the work and created us to do it. You know, sometimes we're doing things in life. We may be happy about it, but if it's not what we're created to do, it's kind of like um me, taking this phone, taking a phone and and eat on it, right? Put my food on it and then eat out of it, yeah, right? Just place my food on the phone and eat. If that's all, I mean, is it serving something? It is. I mean, hey, there's a surface. I put my food on it, and I eat. Well, the phone is serving for something, but the power that there is in using the phone the way it's supposed to will never be fully released until I use it for exactly what it was created for. Because the one who created it already ordained what the phone is supposed to do, right? The company that created it, they already ordained what the phone is supposed to do. So the one who created you already ordained what you're supposed to be doing. You may be doing something right now in life that looks good, it feels good, but it still hasn't given you the potential to release your most powerful self yet because it's not the purpose for which you were created. It's not the work for which you are created, right? And maybe it is what you were created for that you are doing. And you need that push. You need that affirmation from God. You need that, confirmation to release yourself, your most powerful self yet. You need that. And that this prayer and fasting is definitely going to allow you to do it. So let's join together and let's get this. Let's do it. All right. That is it for today. I know I went way above and beyond my time, but I wanted to make sure that I shared this story with you all. Um, um, I'll see you tomorrow. Okay, I'll see you tomorrow. By the way, Kingdom Living Secret, the live that we do, we're switching the time a little bit because I have a class on Tuesday at noon. So, for the time being, we are only having KLS on Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday at noon. Okay? I'll see you tomorrow. Have a blessed day. God bless you all. Bye-bye.